I'd like to begin with one small thing. That is, I want to express my gratitude towards me being here, my presence, and the fact that I'm sharing this stage, this platform with people whom I've grown up admiring. And of course, never did I ever think that I'd be on this side of the platform. But now that I'm here, I'd like to tell you what got me here. And that actually is literally just my life story, but also what made it interesting along the way. Now, I was, till about a few years back, I had a very normal, uneventful existence, So I went on to finish my graduation in management. I went on from one job to another. There was always this thing where the quintessential, young adult question that I'm not sure what I really want to do, but I think I'm going to go ahead with what I feel like doing at the moment. So I kind of followed my gut, my intuition at whatever led me from one thing to another without really having found the answer to my question. Another thing that I would like to point out is another thing that I'm absolutely grateful for is the fact that I've had a very privileged life so far. I've been blessed with a family and parents who've taken really good care of me. And I say that in the context that I've never had to worry about the absolute basic needs of human beings, the majority of human beings on the planet, rather. Which would be your, where's the next meal going to come from, or will I have a roof over my head the next day or not? And basic education, health, and, your basic standard of living issues, right? I never had to deal with them. So I was really privileged from that perspective, and I've had a very blessed life. But that led me to a very, very important and a very pertinent question. A question that I would like all of you here and anyone else who's watching to ask themselves and ask, and it's a question that you need to probe upon and find an answer within yourself too. That if you've been part of, you're a minority really. If you have had an existence where you've not had to worry about your basic needs, you've had a fairly privileged existence, a fairly blessed life. But is it a mere coincidence? Have you been brought into this planet and given this life to just go through your routine, to just wake up, go to work, come back, eat, sleep, die, The routine, is that what your life is all about, or is there more to it? For me, that question came up about a few years back, and it was intense. It wouldn't let me sleep in the night, and I couldn't decide what I wanted to do next till I, had some kind of direction or some answer to it. Now that's when around that point is when I entered the spiritual practice. Just as a matter of finding what I really want to do, and that's when I learned the art of the practice of intention setting, wherein we were told to list down as many intentions as you want. So basically, your wishes, but written down in the form of intentions, which seemed fairly simple and easy to do. And while I saw other people putting down pages and pages of intentions, I could just think of one, which was, how do I find my life's purpose? How do I find the purpose of my existence? That was all I wanted. That was all I wanted to do at that point, at least. And that's it. I just let it out in the universe, and I believed in that space, in the practice, and I believed that I would get an answer. Something would shift. I wasn't sure what, I wasn't sure how, but something was to shift in it, and it did, of course. Now, quite a few months had passed by, and without giving too much thought to the intention I'd set up at that point, I ended up calling an old friend. Now, usually I'm shy about reaching out to people whom I've not been in touch with on a daily basis. Like once I'm in touch, I'm pretty, I can be very chatty, really. But if I've not been in touch with someone, I am not very comfortable reaching out to them and, getting into fresh conversations. But I ended up reaching out to a friend of mine whom I hadn't spoken to in many, many years. His name is Shravan. And I called him to get his opinion on something that I was working towards. And that one thing just, turned my life around. Literally, that one phone call, that one message, actually. My life took a complete 180-degree turn at that point, wherein he mentioned that he was doing something in the socio-tech space. Now, the socio-tech space was completely new to me. Social sector, as per my understanding, was all about the charity or the NGO sector, and technology, of course. Now, the social and charitable sector, while of course I want to do something good for people, it wasn't something I thought I could take up. Something I would take up when I'm retiring, or around that time when I have some extra time and I can probably volunteer to do something. However, this gentleman proposed a socio-tech venture. They're saying that they're setting it up in India and they wanted me to be part of it. It was interesting. It sounded interesting. But here's where the interesting part begins, wherein they were using technology in a very interesting way to drive change in a huge way and at a global level. The problem statement was very simple, that there are people who want to donate money and do donate money rather, but they have no idea where the money is going, right? So there's no impact reporting happening. They don't know who's receiving the money or who's at the receiving end primarily. On the other hand, the other problem, very important one again, is that these grassroots level NGOs are doing great work. They're doing phenomenal work. I mean, unimaginable. It's inspiring to another level. But for them to continue the work, there's a constant fundraising cycle that needs to go on. And that is the biggest effort for them. So these were two very distinct and very clear problem statements in the sector. And this company, this person, this organization had the vision of solving it using technology, and in some very interesting ways, which of course was very innovative to me and something I had never heard about before, but was something that I wanted to take a plunge into, really. And something made me feel that, it'll probably take me closer to, answering my question and taking me closer to where I want to really be. So I took it up and, So I took it up and it's been quite an experience so on. Another very important thing that I'll want to note here is that the group of people, like the team that I'm working with and the team that I ended up joining ultimately, were a group of people who could have done anything, literally anything. A talented bunch of people, really progressive, very smart, really, really sharp, and who could have done anything. But they chose to come into the sector and be a part of it to bring about a larger level change. And that was a very, very refreshing line of thought. That was a very refreshing vision, wherein in a world where people are only after commercial gains, here was an organization and a group of people who was also looking at social change alongside. So it was a fit. It was an absolute match for me. And I went into it. I went for it, head on. It's been a few years to that, but also when I went into it, is when I deep dived into the larger issue. And the issue is much bigger than any of us have actually been exposed to. Like, we know that the world is in a crisis and there's great inequality, but we have no idea to what extent has it really, the roots of it are so deep. And that's where the whole, an entire, a completely new opportunity, a completely new, perspective opened up, wherein we just need so many more people. You just need, you need centuries to, we'll need a lot of people to just undo the damage, not even undo the damage rather, to just stop the damage. To undo the damage is another, a few generations of work needed probably. And that made me come back to the point wherein there are so many opportunities available in the sector, not just the social sector, the sustainability sector overall. And how much more do we need people to be in part of it? You need people to innovate, you need people to come in with fresh ideas, and you don't need to be limited to a certain sector. It's just a misconception wherein the social sector is only, restricted to a certain type of organization. It goes far beyond that, really, and it's changing every day. Now, also another way is, you can really be wherever you are. It's going to need a paradigm shift in the way you think, in the way you, your thought process needs to change. And each one of us needs to change that to be able to bring about a larger level issue. It cannot be done by just a small group of people. And change really can be brought about at any level. So it can, so the change can be brought about at any level. So it doesn't matter how old or young you are, or at which stage of your career you are, or at which stage of life are you in, if you really intend to bring about change, you'll be able to see it. And believe me, opportunities will come right in front of you at that point. You will see it. If you are at a stage where you are juggling careers, you'll see that there are ample opportunities available to take up a career in the sector. If you are, you may just get an opportunity to donate towards a certain cause. Find out about it, research, see whom is it benefiting and how is it benefiting, and does it really connect with what you want to do. Other than that, when you're making a choice, if as a consumer, choose a, choose a local artisan product over a mass-produced product. Find out who the local enterprises are and how can they be benefiting from your purchase. See, just look up, research, talk to people, talk to businessmen, talk to entrepreneurs, and see how are they running their business, how sustainably are they carrying out their business practices. Are they employing the right people? Are they employing underage people or not? And how are they recycling their waste? What kind of resource, what kind of raw material are they using? There are a lot of things, right? So let's just make informed choices, because the ultimate change will lie with each one of us, and not just a group of people, but each one of us will have to work towards that cause. And while we do all of this, the change will be there for us to see. And that is the most satisfying part, wherein you're bringing about the change and you'll be able to see slowly in baby steps, in small things here and there, but you'll be able to see the change. And high time all of us really have to get involved, right? Now that brings me towards an excerpt from this letter written by Baba Ramdas, who is an American spiritual teacher. And a very interesting quote in here, wherein he says that let your heart and your intuition guide your actions. Let compassion guide you into action to help heal the earth and those who suffer. And by doing so, you will open inner gates to your own higher self. So literally, it's not just for you. It's going to be, it's going to benefit you at the higher level in a way that you'll never really be able to fathom or imagine at this point. Which brings me towards the end of my talk here, wherein we need to understand, we need to really probe deep into each of our actions, each of our thoughts, and understand how just being compassionate can bring about a world of change. So in a world full of competition, choose compassion. In a world where there's darkness, you be the light. And in a world full of tens, be an 11. That's about it from me. Thank you so much for having me here.